10 habits that destroy your brain and how to fix them. The silent decline. How your daily habits are destroying your brain. Your brain is dying faster than you think, not medically, not physically, but mentally. And the scariest part is that you don't even notice it happening. Every day, your brain becomes weaker, slower, more distracted, more exhausted, silently, quietly, invisibly. You wake up tired even after sleeping 8 hours. You forget things you used to remember easily. Your mind feels foggy before the day even begins. You struggle to focus on anything for longer than a few seconds. You feel mentally older than your age. You lose motivation without knowing why. You feel like your brain is running on low battery all the time. You blame stress. You blame life. You blame age. But the truth is far more shocking. It is your habits that are destroying your brain. Habits you don't even realize you're doing. Habits that feel normal. Habits that feel harmless. Habits that millions repeat every day without understanding the damage they cause. Modern life is designed to weaken your brain, not intentionally but effectively. From the moment you open your eyes, your brain is attacked by noise, screens, information, pressure, and distraction. You grab your phone before you even breathe properly. Notifications hit your brain before sunlight does. Your mind is flooded with chaos before your feet touch the floor. You scroll through other people's lives before starting your own, and without realizing it, you begin the day with a brain that is already exhausted. You think you're fine because this is what everyone does, but your brain doesn't care what everyone does. It only reacts to what you do. You sit down to work or study, and within minutes your mind slips away. You try to concentrate, but your brain jumps from thought to thought like a restless child. You try to read, but after a paragraph you remember nothing. You try to learn English, but your brain feels too overloaded to absorb anything new. You try to stay present, but you drift into distraction without even noticing. This is not random. This is the early stage of cognitive decline. Not the medical kind, but the habitual kind. Your brain doesn't become weak suddenly. It becomes weak silently, slowly, repeatedly, consistently, and it begins much earlier than people think. It starts in your teens, it grows in your 20s, it becomes visible in your 30s, and by your 40s, you mistake it for aging. But the truth is powerful. Your brain is not old. Your brain is untrained. Your brain is overloaded. Your brain is understimulated in the right ways and overstimulated in the wrong ones. Your brain is being shaped negatively by habits you repeat every day. Most people think brain decline only happens to older adults. They imagine dementia or illness. But the real decline happens quietly in normal people who feel tired all the time, who can't focus, who forget everything, who get easily overwhelmed, who lose motivation, who feel mentally slow. These symptoms are not normal parts of life. They are warning signs. Your brain is begging you to pay attention. Your habits are either building your brain or destroying it. There is no middle ground. Every time you scroll for 2 hours, you train your brain for distraction. Every time you avoid thinking deeply, you reduce your mental strength. Every time you multitask, you break your brain's ability to focus. Every time you avoid challenges, you weaken your cognitive muscles. Every time you live on autopilot, you shut down your brain's growth potential. But here is the truth that changes everything. Your brain can regenerate. Your brain can grow stronger. Your brain can become sharper. Your brain can learn faster. Your brain can become younger. Your brain is not fixed. It is flexible. It is alive. It is ready to rebuild itself if you stop destroying it. Through a process called neuroplasticity, your brain rewires itself every day. New habits create new pathways. Old habits weaken old pathways. Your brain is always changing, always adapting, always becoming something new, depending on what you repeat. If you repeat destruction, your brain declines. If you repeat growth, your brain transforms. This entire series will reveal the 10 daily habits that are slowly killing your brain. Habits that reduce your ability to think, remember, learn, focus, speak clearly, process information, and experience life with clarity. And for each destructive habit, you will learn exactly how to reverse the damage and rebuild a stronger mind. Because your brain is your most powerful asset. Your success, your confidence, your English fluency, your discipline, your emotions, your creativity, your future, everything begins inside your brain, and everything inside your brain begins with your habits. You are not stuck with the brain you have today. You are growing the brain you are training, and beginning now, you have the chance to train it in a way that transforms your life forever. Segment 2. Habit number 1, the digital overload that silently damages your brain. Your brain was never designed for the world you're living in today. It wasn't built for endless screens, flashing notifications, constant scrolling, or the flood of information you consume every minute. Your brain evolved over millions of years for focus, depth, silence, reflection, slow learning, physical movement, and meaningful interaction. But modern life has attacked those ancient systems with something incredibly dangerous: digital overload. And this, more than anything else, is the first habit destroying your brain: the habit of overwhelming it every single day with too much information, too fast, and without pause. Digital overload doesn't feel dangerous. It feels normal, almost harmless. You wake up and grab your phone before your brain even fully wakes up. You scroll through messages, notifications, videos, news, reels, shorts, memes, all before your feet touch the floor. You haven't even stood up, but your brain has already processed more input than a person 50 years ago processed in an entire morning. And this continues all day long. You open apps without thinking. You switch between screens without noticing. You scroll without purpose. Your brain becomes a battlefield of images, sounds, and fragmented thoughts. The danger is not the phone. The danger is the constant stimulation. Your brain was designed for single focus tasks, but modern technology forces it into multitasking mode, a state it's not built to handle. Every notification pulls your attention. Every swipe triggers a new dopamine spike. Every switch from message to video to feed interrupts your focus. The brain does not respond well to this. Instead, it weakens. It becomes tired. It becomes scattered. It becomes slower. You start forgetting things. You start losing interest. You start feeling mentally exhausted even without physical work, because mental exhaustion is real and digital overload is the root cause. When you scroll endlessly, your brain receives tiny hits of dopamine, the chemical of reward. These small hits feel harmless, but the effect is addictive. Your brain begins to crave easy stimulation. It prefers quick entertainment over real effort. It prefers instant reward over long-term learning. And this is where the damage becomes deep. A distracted brain is a weak brain. A brain trained for instant stimulation loses the ability to stay focused on anything challenging. Reading becomes difficult, studying becomes frustrating, deep thinking feels impossible. Learning a language feels exhausting. You try to focus, but your mind escapes within seconds, searching for the next dopamine hit. The worst part? You think this is normal. Everyone is distracted, right? Everyone is scrolling. Everyone is overwhelmed. But just because it's common does not mean it's healthy. The decline of attention is one of the biggest mental health problems of our time. Scientists call it attention fragmentation, the breaking of your ability to focus into small, disconnected pieces. This is why you cannot read without checking your phone. This is why you forget what you were doing. This is why you can't finish tasks. This is why you feel mentally tired doing even small things. Your brain is constantly switching, constantly resetting, constantly rewriting its pathways, and every switch drains energy. Digital overload is not only weakening your focus, it is damaging your memory as well. The brain forms memory by storing information deeply, but when you consume 100 tiny pieces of information every few minutes, nothing goes deep. Everything stays shallow. Everything becomes temporary. The brain becomes a temporary storage instead of a powerful machine. You don't remember because your brain was never allowed to process anything fully. You skip videos when they're too slow. You skip articles when they're too long. You skip explanations when they require thinking. You skip opportunities to strengthen your brain because your brain has been trained to avoid effort. If you ever wondered why your memory is getting worse, this is the reason. Digital overload makes your brain lazy, and a lazy brain forgets. A lazy brain avoids challenge. A lazy brain becomes weaker every day. This is why learning English feels harder now. Not because you're older, not because you're less intelligent, but because your brain is overstimulated and undertrained. It's like trying to run a marathon after eating junk food every hour. Your brain doesn't have the clarity, energy, or space to learn something new. It is too busy processing noise. But here is the good news. You can reverse all of this. Your brain is not broken, it is overloaded. And when you reduce the overload, your brain begins to heal. The first step to fixing this destructive habit is awareness. Most people don't even realize they're addicted to stimulation. They don't realize they check their phone 100 times a day. They don't realize they cannot sit still without touching a screen. They don't realize they scroll without purpose. But once you notice the pattern, you can break it. The first fix is simple. Create quiet spaces for your brain. Your brain needs silence. It needs time without stimulation. It needs moments when you are not consuming anything. Try sitting alone for 5 minutes without your phone. It will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will crave stimulation. But this discomfort is proof of how deeply the habit has damaged you. When you reduce stimulation, your brain slowly relearns how to focus. It relearns how to stay still. It relearns how to think deeply. This is mental recovery. The second fix is even more powerful. Control your morning. The first thing you do when you wake up sets the direction for your entire day. If you start with the screen, your brain becomes reactive, scattered, overstimulated. But if you start with quiet, with intention, with calm, your brain becomes centered, focused, stronger. Try delaying your phone for the first 20 minutes after waking up. Drink water, stretch, make your bed, breathe. Let your brain warm up naturally. Those 20 minutes will transform your mental clarity for the entire day. The third fix, reduce switching. Each time you jump from app to app, you drain mental energy. Try finishing one thing before starting another. When you read, just read. When you watch something for learning, focus on that one video. When you study English, turn off notifications. Your brain becomes stronger when it stays on one track. The fourth fix, limit your news and social media diet. The problem is not the content, it is the amount. Choose a few creators instead of scrolling endlessly. Choose meaningful videos over random entertainment. Choose learning over noise. You do not have to quit everything, you just need to control what controls your mind. As you apply these fixes, something surprising will happen. Your brain will start to feel younger. You will think faster. You will remember more. Your focus will last longer. Your emotions will feel calmer. Your creativity will return. Your ability to learn English will improve dramatically. You will feel mentally alive again. Because digital overload does not destroy your brain permanently, it only weakens it temporarily. And the moment you change your habits, your brain begins rebuilding itself through neuroplasticity. You become sharper. You become stronger. You become the version of yourself you lost along the way. This is habit number 1, the silent killer of your brain. And now that you know it, you can stop it. In the next segment, we will go deeper into habit number 2, a habit so common that almost every person in the world is doing it without knowing the damage it causes to memory, focus, and long-term intelligence. Segment 3. Habit number 2, the mental fog caused by chronic multitasking. Your brain is being pulled in 10 different directions at the same time, and it is slowly collapsing under the weight of modern life. You think you're being productive when you multitask, but the truth is shocking. Multitasking is one of the most powerful destroyers of focus, memory, and mental clarity. Every time you jump between tasks, your brain becomes weaker. Every time you split your attention, your brain loses energy. Every time you try to do two things at once, your brain rewires itself to become more scattered, more distracted, more unfocused. And the worst part? You do it so often that you don't even recognize the damage anymore. You think multitasking makes you faster? It doesn't. You think multitasking makes you efficient? It doesn't. You think multitasking makes you smart? It doesn't. In fact, multitasking lowers your IQ temporarily. It reduces your accuracy. It reduces your creativity. It reduces your ability to think deeply. It reduces your emotional awareness. And slowly, silently, it destroys the brain pathways responsible for concentration. The more you multitask, the worse you get at focusing on anything. The more your brain switches, the more energy it burns. The more energy it burns, the more exhausted and forgetful you become. Multitasking is not a skill, it is a slow poison. Scientists have discovered something terrifying. Your brain cannot actually multitask. It can only switch rapidly, constantly, chaotically between tasks. And each switch has a cost, a piece of energy lost, a piece of focus lost, a piece of clarity lost. Even a small switch, like checking your phone for 2 seconds, can interrupt your thinking for minutes. Your brain must reboot every time you shift attention. The reboot may be invisible, but the damage is real. Over time, these small switches accumulate into chronic mental fatigue, a fog that makes your mind feel slower, heavier, and less alive. Think about your day. You watch a video while replying to a message. You check your phone while eating, you scroll while studying, you watch a movie while talking to someone, you switch between apps while learning English. You open multiple tabs, multiple screens, multiple tasks. Your brain is never fully present, never fully focused, never fully engaged. It is constantly being dragged from one place to another like a machine running too many programs at once. And just like a computer under heavy load, your brain overheats, freezes, and slows down. You know this feeling. You start something, then forget what you were doing. You read something, then realize you remember nothing. You talk to someone, then drift away mentally. You start studying, then end up scrolling. You open a book, then grab your phone. You make a plan, then lose your train of thought. These moments aren't random. They are symptoms of a brain that has been trained to live in fragments. A fragmented brain cannot focus. A fragmented brain cannot remember. A fragmented brain cannot learn. A fragmented brain cannot think deeply. A fragmented brain cannot grow. Multitasking is the enemy of mental strength, and this is alarming for one reason. Modern life forces multitasking on everyone. Notifications attack you. Apps compete for your attention. Content creators fight for your time. Companies design products to keep your attention divided. You are living inside a global attention war, and your brain is the battlefield. If you don't protect your attention, everything else will control it. But the most dangerous part of multitasking isn't even the distraction. It's what multitasking does to your identity. You begin to believe you can't focus. You begin to believe you're easily bored. You begin to believe you need constant stimulation. You begin to believe your brain isn't strong enough. But this is not true. Your brain is not weak, it's simply overstretched. You are not naturally distracted. You are trained to be distracted. You are not incapable of deep focus. You have forgotten what it feels like. The human brain was built for single task focus. It thrives when attention goes into one direction. It becomes faster, smarter, and more resilient when you allow it to concentrate. Deep work triggers the strongest form of mental growth. Single tasking strengthens memory, creativity, problem solving, and long term intelligence. When your brain goes deep, your life goes forward. But when your brain stays shallow, nothing meaningful can grow. The good news is that the damage caused by multitasking can be reversed, and the reversal happens faster than you expect. The brain is incredibly adaptive. The moment you reduce task switching, your brain regains energy. The moment you practice sustained attention, your brain rewires itself for clarity. The moment you learn to resist distraction, your brain becomes sharper. And when your brain becomes sharper, everything becomes easier. Thinking, learning, speaking English, making decisions, planning your life, solving problems, growing your future. The first fix is simple. Do one thing at a time. This sounds easy, but it's difficult because multitasking has become a habit. But if you train yourself to focus on just one task, even for a few minutes, your brain begins strengthening. When you read, don't check your phone. When you study English, don't open another tab. When you watch something educational, don't scroll. When you're working, turn off interruptions. Finish tasks fully instead of partially. This is how attention is rebuilt, one focused moment at a time. The second fix: create boundaries for your attention. Your attention needs protection to grow. Put your phone in another room while working. Use airplane mode during deep tasks. Organize your environment to remove distractions. the easiest way to improve focus is to eliminate the things that break it. Your environment shapes your mind more than your motivation does. The third fix: train your brain with small focus workouts. Start with 5 minutes of complete focus, then 10, then 15. Over days and weeks, your brain will stretch, it will grow, it will rebuild its focus muscles. This is the mental equivalent of lifting weights. You don't start with heavy weight, you start small, you build consistency, and soon you become strong. The fourth fix: schedule your distractions. Instead of letting distractions control you, decide when you will use them. Have a time for social media, have a time for entertainment, have a time for breaks. When distractions become intentional, they stop being destructive. You control them, not the other way around. The fifth fix: practice presence. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you talk, just talk. Your brain heals when you allow it to stay in the moment. This reduces stress, increases clarity, and restores mental energy. Presence is not just a spiritual practice, it is neuroscience. A present brain is a powerful brain. As you begin to apply these changes, something remarkable will happen. The fog will lift. Your mind will feel clearer. Your thoughts will become sharper. Your memory will return. Your motivation will rise. You will find it easier to learn English, easier to understand people, easier to solve problems, easier to stay calm, easier to stay focused. You will remember what it feels like to have a strong brain. A brain that works for you, not against you. Multitasking weakens your mind. Single tasking strengthens it. And the choice is yours. Every minute, every hour, every day. This was habit number 2, one of the biggest destroyers of your brain. In the next segment, we explore another habit that millions of people do daily without realizing how deeply it limits their intelligence, confidence, and long-term mental power. Segment 4. Habit number 3, the negative thinking. Loops that rewire your brain backwards. Your brain listens to every thought you think, even the ones you don't say out loud, even the ones you try to ignore, even the ones you pretend don't matter. And the most shocking truth is this: every negative thought you repeat becomes a physical pathway inside your brain. Your thinking literally rewires your mind, shaping your emotions, your confidence, your intelligence, your memory, your motivation, and even your ability to learn English. You don't just think with your brain becomes what you think. And this is why negative thought patterns are one of the most destructive habits silently damaging your life. You might believe negative thinking is normal. You might think everyone does it. You might think it's harmless. But your brain does not treat negative thoughts as harmless. It treats them as instructions. Your brain adjusts its chemistry based on your thoughts. It releases stress hormones when you think fearful thoughts. It shuts down creativity when you think limiting thoughts. It blocks motivation when you think hopeless thoughts. It slows learning when you think self-critical thoughts. Over time, these thought loops trap your mind in a cycle of mental weakness, not because you're weak, but because your thoughts are weakening your brain's ability to grow. If you've ever told yourself, "I can't focus," your brain begins believing it. If you've ever said, "I'm not smart enough," your brain starts wiring itself to match that belief. If you've ever thought, "My memory is bad," your brain begins reducing the neural strength needed for remembering. If you've ever said, "I will never speak English fluently," your brain shuts down the pathways required to learn a language. Because your brain is not a machine, it is a reflection of your inner voice. And here is the most alarming part: negative thinking is addictive. Your brain gets used to the chemical state created by these thoughts. The cycle becomes familiar. You think negatively, your brain releases stress chemicals, and your mind begins searching for more negative thoughts to match that emotional state. It becomes a loop that feels normal but internally destroys your brain's potential. You don't notice when it begins. Maybe you blame yourself for a small mistake. Maybe you compare yourself on social media. Maybe someone criticizes you. Maybe life disappoints you. Slowly, doubt becomes your language. Worry becomes your thinking style. Fear becomes your emotional background. Your brain, trying to help you survive, magnifies negative thoughts and hides positive ones. You begin noticing only what goes wrong. You begin expecting failure. You begin preparing for disappointment. You begin losing your inner strength, not because life is breaking you, but because your brain is learning helplessness through repeated negative thoughts. The worst part is that people think negative thinking is reality. They think they're being honest, they think they're being practical, but reality and negative thinking are not the same. Reality is neutral. Negative thinking is a lens, a filter that distorts how your brain sees everything. When your brain expects negativity, it loses the ability to take risks, to grow, to learn, to dream, to push forward. The brain becomes small, limited, defensive, and a defensive brain is a declining brain. But here is the truth that changes everything. Negative thinking does not reflect the world, it reshapes the world inside your mind. Your thoughts sculpt your neural pathways. Your neural pathways shape your habits. Your habits shape your results, and your results shape your future. One negative loop repeated often enough becomes your identity. But identity is not destiny. Identity is a habit, and habits can be changed. Your brain is constantly asking you two questions, even if you don't realize it. What should I strengthen? What should I weaken? Your thoughts answer those questions. If you repeatedly think, I can't learn, your brain weakens learning pathways. If you repeatedly think, I'm stressed, your brain strengthens anxiety pathways. If you repeatedly think, I'm not good enough, your brain strengthens insecurity pathways. You become skilled at the thoughts you repeat. Psychologists call this neural efficiency. Your brain becomes efficient at whatever you practice, even if what you're practicing is self-destruction. This is why negative thinkers find more things to worry about. Their brain is trained for worry. This is why insecure people find more reasons to doubt themselves. Their brain is trained for doubt. This is why people who think they are unlucky continue facing problems. Their brain notices more danger than opportunity. Your thinking is not harmless, your thinking is training. But if negative thinking can destroy your brain, then positive thinking is not just motivation, it is medicine. And changing your mental patterns is not fake positivity or denial. It is neuroscience, it is brain training, it is rewiring, it is choosing the thoughts that build your mind instead of breaking it. The first step to breaking negative loops is awareness. Most negative thoughts happen automatically, unconsciously, quietly. They slip in without permission. They whisper things like, I can't do this. I'm too late. I'm not ready. I always fail. I'm not smart enough. I can't speak well. I don't deserve success. These sentences may feel small, but your brain treats them seriously. They become internal instructions. The moment you recognize a negative thought, you interrupt the loop. Awareness breaks the automatic cycle. The second step is replacement, not with unrealistic thinking, but with constructive thinking. Instead of I can't, shift to I'm learning. Instead of I'm not good enough, shift to I'm improving. Instead of I always mess up, shift to I'm getting better every day. Instead of my brain is weak, shift to my brain is growing stronger. Instead of I will never be fluent, shift to I practice and fluency will come. These aren't motivational cliches, they are rewiring commands. When your brain hears a new thought repeatedly, it begins to build new pathways. New pathways become new habits. New habits become a new identity. The third step is emotional detox. Your brain reacts strongly to your emotional environment. If you surround yourself with negativity, negative people, negative content, negative conversations, negative news, your brain absorbs it. Your environment becomes your internal voice. Choose what you feed your brain. Choose the people who challenge you, not drain you. Choose content that teaches you, not scares you. Choose information that builds you, not weakens you. Your environment is not a background. It is a mental ecosystem. The fourth step is mental rest. Negative thinking becomes dominant when your brain is exhausted. A tired brain exaggerates threats. A tired brain magnifies problems. A tired brain loses perspective. This is why sleep, silence, and breaks are not luxuries. They're essential for brain health. When your brain rests, your emotional system resets, your perspective shifts, your clarity returns, your thoughts become calmer. Rest is not a pause, rest is recovery. The fifth step is identity building. Every day, tell your brain who you want to become. Not in dramatic speeches, but in simple internal messages. I'm becoming more focused. I'm becoming more confident. I'm becoming mentally stronger. I'm becoming fluent. Identity statements are the strongest form of brain rewiring. When your brain believes something, it begins to behave in alignment with that belief. Over time, these changes accumulate. The fog lifts, your thoughts slow down, your confidence rises, your self-belief returns. You begin noticing opportunities instead of threats. You begin learning faster because fear no longer blocks your mind. You begin speaking English more naturally because doubt no longer controls your voice. You begin solving problems with clarity. You begin facing challenges with strength. You become mentally alive again. Negative thinking is not your personality, it is a habit. And like any habit, it can be unlearned. You are not the voice in your head, you are the person who chooses a voice. This was habit number 3, the thought pattern that silently rewires your brain backward. In the next segment, we will explore habit number 4, a habit that kills brain power more quickly than stress, age, or intelligence. Mental passivity, the habit of letting your brain stay on autopilot instead of living with awareness, curiosity, and active thinking. Segment 5. Habit number 4. The mental passivity that slowly kills your brain's ability to grow. Your brain was never meant to live on autopilot. It was designed for curiosity, exploration, learning, problem solving, creativity, and conscious awareness. But most people spend their entire lives letting the brain run passively, repeating the same thoughts, the same routines, the same behaviors, the same reactions. without ever waking up to realize how much potential they are wasting. Mental passivity is one of the deadliest habits destroying the modern mind, not because it feels destructive, but because it feels comfortable. Comfort is the silent killer of intelligence. Comfort is the quiet enemy of growth. Comfort is the invisible trap that turns a powerful brain into a predictable machine. Your brain becomes weaker every time you stop using it actively. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain adapts to whatever environment you give it. If you give it challenge, it becomes strong. If you give it passivity, it becomes slow. The brain is like a muscle. It grows through effort and shrinks through neglect. But here's the frightening part. Most people don't even realize when their brain becomes passive. It happens so quietly, so gradually, that they assume it's just their personality or just how life is. But what feels like personality is often just neural conditioning. What feels like comfort is often mental decline. What feels like stability is often stagnation. You know this feeling. You wake up and do the same routine in the same way. You go through your day without thinking deeply. You consume content without questioning it. You do tasks without engaging with them. You follow patterns without challenging them. You repeat the same conversations, the same complaints, the same small thoughts. You avoid anything that feels difficult. You choose the easy path every time. You stop learning once school ends. You stop questioning once you're older. You stop stretching your mind because stretching feels uncomfortable. And slowly, quietly, your brain stops growing. This is how mental passivity kills brain power. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but slowly, by making you repeat the same neural pathways every day until your brain becomes rigid, inflexible, and unable to adapt. A passive brain cannot handle new ideas. A passive brain cannot learn new skills. A passive brain cannot grow intelligence. A passive brain cannot maintain memory. A passive brain cannot stay young. Without mental challenge, your brain begins to shrink, literally shrink. Scientists call it neuronal pruning. The brain removes pathways you don't use because it assumes you no longer need them. This explains why life begins feeling repetitive, why days blend together, why time starts moving faster, why your dreams begin fading, why learning English feels difficult, why deep thinking becomes rare, why creativity fades away. You're not broken. Your brain has simply stopped being activated. But the real danger of mental passivity is what it steals from your future. Because if your brain is not learning, it is declining. If your brain is not stretching, it is shrinking. If your brain is not engaged, it is aging. People blame age for mental decline, but age is not the cause, lack of stimulation is. A 60-year-old who learns daily has a healthier brain than a 25-year-old who does nothing new. Your brain stays young through challenge, not youth. You may not notice the decline at first. It begins with boredom, then with low motivation, then with difficulty focusing, then with forgetting details, then with losing enthusiasm, then with losing mental energy, and eventually with losing yourself because your identity is built from your thoughts, and passive thinking produces a passive life. But here's the truth that gives hope. Your brain can wake up at any age. It does not matter if you are 18 or 80. The moment you give your brain new challenges, new pathways begin forming. And the brain loves challenge. Real challenge, not fake stimulation. Mental passivity dies the moment you begin thinking actively again, the moment you pick up a new idea, the moment you ask a meaningful question, the moment you learn a new skill, the moment you break a routine, the moment you push your mind beyond its comfort. The first step to killing mental passivity is awareness. You cannot change what you do not see. Look at your daily life. How much of it do you do consciously? How much do you do automatically? How often do you choose the easy path instead of the challenging one? How often do you stimulate your brain with something meaningful instead of something superficial? These questions reveal the truth about your daily mental habits. The second step is curiosity. Curiosity is the opposite of passivity. When you ask questions, your brain becomes alive again. When you explore new ideas, your brain fires new connections. Curiosity is not childish. It is essential for a healthy mind. Start by asking simple questions every day. Why does this happen? How does this work? What else could be true? What is the deeper meaning behind this? Your brain grows when you question your world. The third step is learning one new thing daily. It doesn't matter how small. A fact, a concept, a word, a new English expression, a new scientific idea, a new perspective, a new skill, a new strategy. Learning is the equivalent of exercise for your brain. Each new piece of information forms new pathways. It keeps the brain flexible, adaptable, young. The goal is not perfection, the goal is growth. The fourth step is breaking monotony. Routine can be helpful, but too much routine kills creativity. Change your environment. Take a different route to work. Try a new hobby. Speak to a new person. Learn a new word. Read a new book. Watch a documentary on a topic you know nothing about. Eat something new. Experience something unfamiliar. When your environment changes, your brain wakes up. The fifth step is deep thinking. Most people avoid deep thinking because it feels mentally difficult. But difficulty is exactly what strengthens your brain. Pick a topic and think about it for 10 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just you and your mind. Ask questions, explore ideas, form opinions. The brain becomes more intelligent through thinking, not scrolling. The sixth step is speaking your thoughts. When you speak, you organize your ideas, you clean your mental space, you turn vague feelings into clear concepts. This is why speaking English daily is one of the best ways to kill mental passivity. Speaking forces the brain to work, to search for words, to form sentences, to structure ideas. When you speak, your brain becomes active. When you remain silent all day, your brain becomes passive. Your voice is a tool for mental awakening. The seventh step is solving problems instead of avoiding them. A passive brain avoids challenges. An active brain embraces them. When you face a problem, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I solve this in a new way? What skill does this challenge teach me? Every problem becomes an opportunity for neural growth. As you begin these practices, something powerful will happen. You will feel more alive. You will feel more aware. You will feel more intelligent. Your memory will improve. Your focus will return. Your curiosity will grow. Your confidence will rise. Your English learning will accelerate. Your creativity will reappear. Your brain will feel fresh, young, active, and awake because you are finally using it the way nature intended. Mental passivity kills your brain slowly. Mental activity rebuilds it quickly. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to be gifted. You just need to be awake. Awake to your habits, awake to your patterns, awake to your life. A passive brain creates a passive life. An active brain creates a powerful one. And starting today, the choice is yours. This was habit number 4, the silent trap of living life on autopilot. In the next segment, we go even deeper into another deadly habit, the habit of overstimulation without reflection, the reason why most people feel mentally overloaded, emotionally unstable, and unable to think clearly in a world full of noise. Segment 6, habit number 5, the overstimulated brain that can't think clearly anymore. Your brain was never designed to live in a world this loud. Noise everywhere, information everywhere, opinions everywhere, pressure everywhere. Notifications, alerts, messages, reminders, ads, videos, news, updates. Your brain is drowning in stimulation from every direction. And the more stimulation you consume, the weaker your thinking becomes. The modern world hasn't just made people distracted, it has made people mentally overloaded, emotionally unstable, and unable to process life with clarity. Your brain isn't tired because you work too hard. Your brain is tired because it never gets a break. You feel it constantly. That mental heaviness you can't explain, that fog you can't escape, that tightness in your thoughts, that restlessness in your emotions, that sense that your brain is full, but not full of anything useful. The world has turned overstimulation into a lifestyle, and your brain is paying the price. You don't notice it happening. You simply wake up one day and realize your mind has lost its sharpness. You can't think deeply anymore. You can't stay still. You can't enjoy silence. You feel uncomfortable without noise. You feel lost without distraction. This is not personality. This is overstimulation reshaping your brain. The first 20 sentences of this truth are painful but necessary. Your brain is tired because you overstimulate it. Your thoughts feel shallow because you never give them space to grow. Your mind feels chaotic because you fill it with too much noise. Your emotions feel unstable because your brain is constantly switching states. Your creativity is low because noise has replaced imagination. Your memory is weak because your brain is busy processing trash instead of storing value. Your focus is broken because you have trained yourself to constantly seek stimulation. Your learning feels difficult because your brain is overwhelmed. Your English doesn't improve because your attention is scattered. Your motivation disappears because overstimulation drains dopamine. Your presence disappears because your mind is always racing. Your peace disappears because silence feels foreign. Your clarity disappears because noise has become your default environment. Overstimulation is the invisible enemy. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't shout, it doesn't break anything dramatically. It simply eats away at your brain one moment at a time, one distraction at a time, one notification at a time, until your mind becomes weak. And a weak mind cannot dream. A weak mind cannot grow. A weak mind cannot learn. A weak mind cannot create. A weak mind cannot lead. A weak mind cannot stay confident. Overstimulation does not feel dangerous, but it is one of the greatest threats to your mental health. Your brain was designed to process a small, manageable amount of information at any moment, but today, your brain processes more information in one day than a person 100 years ago processed in months. And your brain cannot handle it. Every image you see, every video you watch, every update you scroll, every notification you receive, every noise you hear, it all enters your brain. even when you don't notice it, even when you think it doesn't matter. Your brain records everything. And slowly you become mentally full but emotionally empty. This is why you constantly feel busy even when you accomplish nothing. Your mind has been hijacked by noise. You don't feel peace because your brain doesn't remember what peace feels like. You don't feel clarity because your brain hasn't had silence for years. You don't feel calm because your brain is living in survival mode. You don't feel creative because your brain is drowning in stimulation, leaving no space for imagination. You don't feel present because your brain never stops running. And here's the darkest truth: overstimulation kills your ability to think deeply. Thinking deeply requires silence, it requires space, it requires mental stillness. But your brain is never still, it is constantly reacting, constantly buzzing, constantly processing, constantly responding, constantly being pulled by the world. And when the brain is in reaction mode, it cannot enter reflection mode. Reaction mode is shallow, reflection mode is deep. Overstimulation keeps you trapped in shallow thinking for years, and shallow thinking produces shallow results. You may not realize this, but overstimulation also destroys creativity. Creativity is not something you learn, it is something that appears when your brain relaxes, when your mind has space. When silence gives your imagination room to breathe, when boredom sparks curiosity, but you never allow yourself to be bored anymore. The moment you feel even 1 second of quiet, you reach for your phone. You fill every empty moment with noise, and because of that, your creativity dies. Your memory also suffers. Memory requires calm, repetition, emotion, and reflection. But overstimulation blocks all of those. When your brain is processing too much information, it cannot store anything deeply. This is why you forget what you read, why you forget names, why you forget tasks, why you forget what someone said a few minutes ago. Your brain simply cannot hold on to information when it is overwhelmed by noise. The saddest part is this: people think overstimulation is entertainment. They think it's fun. They think it's relaxing. They think it's normal. They think it is part of modern life. But overstimulation is not entertainment, it is escape. It is avoidance. It is mental self-destruction disguised as pleasure. It steals your energy, your attention, your ambition, your passion, your intelligence, your time, your potential. But the beautiful truth is this: your brain can recover. Even after years of overstimulation, your brain can become clear again. It can become focused again. It can become creative again. It can become emotionally stable again. It can become peaceful again. It can become strong again. You're not stuck with the brain overstimulation created. You can rebuild the brain you choose. And recovery begins with reducing noise. The first step is silence, not hours of silence, just minutes. Sit for 5 minutes without your phone, without music, without talking, without stimulation. At first, your brain will feel uncomfortable. It will crave noise. It will crave distraction. This discomfort is proof of how overstimulated you are. But if you stay still, your brain begins healing. Those 5 minutes become a reset for your mind. The second step is mental filtering. You do not need to consume everything. Choose what enters your brain. Unfollow accounts that drain you. Stop watching content that doesn't help you. Don't read negative news every hour. Reduce the time you spend scrolling. Choose information that enlightens you, not overwhelms you. You're not obligated to consume every piece of content the world throws at you. The third step is deliberate boredom. Boredom is not bad. Boredom is healing. Boredom is imagination. Boredom is creativity. Boredom is clarity. Let yourself be bored for a few minutes a day. Walk without headphones. Sit without a screen. Let your mind rest. Let your thoughts appear. Your brain starts becoming alive again when it is allowed to breathe. The fourth step is long-form focus. Read something longer. Watch a long educational video without switching. Study English for a full 20 minutes without checking your phone. Let your brain stay in one direction long enough for clarity to return. The fifth step is dopamine detoxing. Not a full shutdown, but short intentional breaks from stimulation. 1 hour a day without your phone, one morning a week without social media, one walk with silence. These small detoxes reset your dopamine system, giving you more energy, more motivation, more focus. As you apply these steps, your brain begins changing. The fog lifts, the noise quiets, the clarity returns, your emotions become stable, your creativity expands, your memory strengthens, your English learning accelerates, your mind feels fresh, young, calm, awake. A peaceful brain becomes a powerful brain. This was habit number 5, the overstimulation cycle that weakens your intelligence. Next, we move to habit number 6, the emotional stress loop that secretly damages your brain's chemistry, memory, and long-term focus. Segment 7. Habit number 6. The emotional stress loop that slowly damages your brain from the inside. Your brain remembers every stress you never dealt with, every fear you pushed down, every worry you ignored, every pressure you carried silently, every emotion you pretended didn't matter, every painful moment you never processed. And this emotional weight becomes one of the most destructive forces inside the human mind. Stress is not just a feeling, it is chemistry, it is electricity, it is inflammation, it is rewiring. Emotional stress doesn't stay in the heart, it lives in the brain, and the longer you carry it, the more it changes you. You think you're handling it, you think you're strong enough, you think stress just disappears on its own, but your brain pays the price. Stress kills neurons. Stress shortens neural connections. Stress weakens memory. Stress destroys focus. Stress reduces motivation. Stress shrinks the frontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for thinking, decision-making, learning, discipline, and emotional control. Chronic stress slowly eats away the very structures that make you human. And the first 20 sentences of this truth are harsh. Your brain cannot grow in a stressful environment. Stress blocks learning. Stress blocks creativity. Stress blocks your ability to concentrate. Stress blocks your ability to absorb English or any skill. Stress keeps your mind stuck in survival mode. Stress makes everything harder, even the things that used to feel easy. Stress makes you forget things. Stress makes you react emotionally instead of thinking clearly. Stress rewires your brain for fear, not for confidence. Stress steals your ambition and replaces it with exhaustion. Stress steals your energy and replaces it with anxiety. Stress steals your clarity and replaces it with confusion. Stress steals your inner power and replaces it with emotional instability. Worst of all, many people live in a permanent stress loop without knowing it. They don't realize their brain is under attack. They assume their headaches, low energy, irritability, difficulty learning, sleep problems, forgetfulness, and lack of focus are just life. But these are not random problems. These are symptoms of a stressed brain crying for help. Emotional stress activates the amygdala, the fear center of your brain. When the amygdala is overactive, your rational mind shuts down. You become reactive. You become sensitive. You become defensive. You become easily discouraged. Your brain shifts from growth mode to protection mode. You stop thinking about improvement and start thinking about survival. This is why stress people feel stuck. They are not weak. Their brain has been hijacked by chemistry. The emotional stress loop begins when you experience a negative event and do nothing to process it. You push it aside, you distract yourself, you pretend you're fine, but the emotion remains. It settles into your nervous system, and the brain, thinking you're still in danger, keeps releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, your brain adjusts to this state and begins expecting danger even when life is calm. You become anxious even when nothing is wrong. You become overwhelmed even by small tasks. You become tired even after resting. You become mentally fragile even when nothing serious is happening. Your brain is not malfunctioning, it's trying to protect you. But protection becomes imprisonment when the stress never ends. Your childhood, your relationships, your failures, your disappointments, your rejections, these emotional memories shape your brain more than anything you learn in school. The human brain treats emotional pain almost the same way it treats physical pain. This is why emotional wounds affect focus, learning, memory, self confidence, and mental strength. The stress chemicals of yesterday continue damaging the brain today. But the most heartbreaking part is this: many people blame themselves for feeling weak when the truth is scientific, not personal. A stressed brain cannot think clearly. A stressed brain cannot learn fast. A stressed brain cannot stay disciplined. A stressed brain cannot feel confident. A stressed brain cannot stay calm. A stressed brain cannot see opportunities. And a stressed brain cannot grow. You are not the problem. The stress loop is. The emotional stress habit is not your fault, but breaking it is your responsibility. And the moment you choose to break it, your brain begins healing faster than you think. The brain is incredibly responsive to emotional relief. The moment stress decreases, memory improves, focus strengthens, creativity rises, confidence returns, energy increases, emotional stability grows, and learning becomes easier. You don't need to fix everything, you simply need to break the loop. The first step is emotional awareness. Most people are stressed because they don't notice their stress. They move through life ignoring the signals: tight throat, tense jaw, short breathing, raisin thoughts, sudden irritability, emotional numbness, or feeling overwhelmed. These are not random sensations, they're brain alarms. The moment you acknowledge your stress, your brain begins calming down. The second step is emotional release. You cannot think your way out of stress, you must release it. Talk to someone, write your thoughts, cry if needed, go for a walk, breathe deeply, let yourself feel instead of suppressing everything. Emotional release resets your nervous system. Suppression destroys it. The third step is breathing, not motivational, but scientific. Slow breathing reduces cortisol levels. It activates the prefrontal cortex. It calms the amygdala. It returns your brain to clarity. Just 60 seconds of slow breathing can begin reversing stress damage. The fourth step is removing triggers. If certain people, content, environments, or habits constantly create stress, limit them. Protect your mental space the way you protect your physical space. Your brain becomes the environment you live in. The fifth step is reflection. Stress multiplies when thoughts go unexamined. Take a moment daily to reflect. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? What do I need right now? This simple reflection activates higher order thinking and calms emotional regions of the brain. The sixth step is learning to say no. Stress comes from doing everything except what your brain needs. You're allowed to protect your time. You're allowed to choose your priorities. You're allowed to step away from chaos. You're allowed to rest. The seventh step is daily mind clearing. Silence, solitude, slow moments. Your brain needs emotional space to heal. Just a few minutes of calm per day can reset your emotional chemistry. The eighth step is building emotional strength. You don't remove stress by avoiding life. You remove stress by training your brain to handle life. Every time you manage stress consciously, your brain becomes stronger, wiser, calmer, more resilient. Emotional resilience is not a gift, it is trained. And perhaps the most powerful step is practicing gratitude. Gratitude is not positive thinking, it is a neurological intervention. Gratitude activates brain regions that shut down stress. Gratitude boosts serotonin, improves memory, stabilizes emotions, and increases cognitive flexibility. When you focus on what is good, your brain becomes strong enough to handle what is bad. A brain freed from stress becomes unstoppable. It becomes sharp. It becomes confident. It becomes disciplined. It learns faster. It thinks deeper. It remembers better. It lives with clarity. And everything in life becomes easier, even learning English, even staying productive, even controlling emotions, even making decisions. Your brain is the foundation of everything you dream of becoming, and every small habit you choose shapes the path of your future. The world may distract you, pressure you, and pull your mind in 100 directions. But the power to rise above it all has always lived inside you. With every moment of clarity, every conscious decision, every step toward mental strength, you're rebuilding a stronger, sharper, more unstoppable version of yourself. You're not late, you're not weak, you're not stuck, you are awakening. This journey isn't about being perfect, it's about choosing growth over comfort, awareness over autopilot, and purpose over noise. Your mind is learning, healing, and evolving with every choice you make. And the person you're becoming, focused, confident, disciplined, mentally alive, is already waiting for you on the other side of this transformation. If this message touched your heart or opened your eyes, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of your growth.